We're on the Canal towpath today. So we have the Potomac River over that side, and then this is where the canal was, over here, and they pulled the water over for transporting. So pretty cool history. They used the towpath for quite a while in the 1800s and into the 1900s. I think by 1924 it was all abandoned, but pretty cool. This section of the towpath I have not been on before. I've been keeping my eye on this one, so we were not too far from this spot today, so we had a little detour. So one of the cool things about this part is it has a tunnel. So we're on the Paw Paw Tunnel trail portion, and so this is the Paw Paw Tunnel coming up. So we get to walk through the tunnel. It's almost 3,200 feet long, so it is dark inside, so they do say to bring a headlamp, so we have our headlamps ready. But pretty cool, the amount of labor that has gone into developments like this. I was having fun learning about the tunnel and this section of the towpath when I was getting ready to come over here for our hike today, and there's still a little water down there. This is the longest man-made structure, or the biggest man-made structure on the whole Canal, so it's pretty cool. So the brick is amazing. There's, it was laid in the 1800s and still there today. Pretty cool looking. So this tunnel project was supposed to take about 2 years to complete. Ended up taking 14 years. And they went 20 times over their budget. So it ended up costing $850,000 to build it. So they had budgeted 1/20th of that. Starting to get pretty dark in here. So you can supposedly see different marks from what they were doing with their work. They manually dug the tunnel and then also blasted through. Here is a bronze plaque. That's cool. So there's supposed to be markers every 100 feet or so through the tunnel. So, cool adventure for the day. So this tunnel was only made wide enough for one direction at a time to come through, and apparently it caused a lot of disputes and arguments and fights. So, not a great thing. And it's funny that they decided to they built this tunnel because the shape of the river has several horseshoe bends, and so it was 6 miles worth. That was going to be complicated and very laborious to build, but they opted for this tunnel, which then ended up being quite the undertaking. So definitely cut off the distance, but it was a lot of work. So as I'm going through here, I can just imagine what it was like when it was being used, and after reading about some of the violence that resulted in people trying to transport their things, it can be rough. So this was another thing. They said you'd see the little spots there. You could also see rope burns, they said. So another plaque there. They removed all the debris through vertical chutes. That's what it said. But the amount of debris that was removed and the number of bricks brought in and the amount of time are just such huge numbers. And then going back to the amount of money, it's pretty wild. It's really cool how quiet it is in here. Other than our voices, we don't hear anything else. All of the outside noise is completely blocked out. It's really cool. It definitely smells old in here to me too. I think it's so funny because at the other end we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. But it actually seems to take quite a while, and it did get, it's completely black in here. But just at first sight, I would kind of think if you can see the light at the other end, it would never be completely dark, but it is. Such a small amount of light coming in on either side. Every once in a while you hear a drip of water. The idea of a canal and towpath is so smart, so cool. It's amazing how many challenges have been overcome in the past by people thinking about ways to solve their problems. Whoa, that was a big splash. The ground is fairly rippled here. And I think it's really cool because while this tunnel took 14 years to build, that's a lot of time and blood and sweat and tears and effort and money and everything that was thrown into it. There was a lot that they stumbled upon along the way that made it more challenging, but in the end, the hard work paid off, and this structure is still holding. It still it maintains its integrity all these years later. Like, we're nearing 200 years ago. For this bridge, they started construction in the 1830s. So we're not far from that. Pretty cool. The drop in temperature is another noticeable difference in here. It's not a real hot day, but it's much cooler in here. finally making it out to the other side. It's quite an adventure through here. It's really cool to stop and just pause to look at the walls in here, and there's been several times that the stone or the rock that's been used up in there with the brick, it shows some reflection as I shine my light on it. So that's been pretty cool, and seeing it's a different kind of rock. So that's neat. Go on the surface of the brick. You can feel the warmth coming back now too. Breezy, and it's a warm breeze coming in now. Very cool. I feel like I went somewhere today. It was fun. Oh. So they have a boardwalk built out here to walk on. We still have the canal on our left. Over on the other side is the rock here is Potomac somewhere out there. So they've done some work to stabilize the rock out here. This side was closed for a little while they were repairing all this. But it looks pretty secure now. That's awfully cool. I love how experiences like going through a tunnel can give you perspective about life. So as I noticed the shiny spots in that dark space, made me think about you can always find some good among the difficult or the hard or the frustrating, because everything was dark in there, and there were spots that were really pretty and shiny. And I often think of the idea of anything worth doing is worth doing well. They certainly showed that to be true with this tunnel. They didn't give up. They kept working, and they were able to fully build that tunnel, and it was used for years. Yes, there were disputes and challenges with it, but it served its purpose because they did it well. And I think both of those are really good reminders for us, because we all go through the hard things. So sometimes all we can do to make it through is find something that is even halfway positive, or to make a positive spin on something. And life is hard. You have to put a lot of work into everything. Relationships, raising kids, your family, careers, hobbies, anything that you want done well. It requires a lot from you. And when you do put that time and effort and energy into it, you have success, and it has a lasting impact, like this tunnel did for people. That made it possible to move goods long distances, and it met people's needs. They needed things, and they were able to be transported. So it's pretty cool. There's so many cute little flowers out. It's beautiful. I stopped here at the lock that we just arrived at. Sign says it's lock 66. Pretty cool. I've always thought lock systems are really amazing, how they make those work. So obviously the canal was not one level the whole way, so they had to use a lock system in order to raise and lower their boats. Yeah.
It's funny, the bolts are still there, but the beam is totally gone.
Yeah.
Same thing right here.
Yeah, you can see where everything was here. It's really cool. Found another lock. It's so cool to see all of the components that were used to make this canal work effectively and quite efficiently. So as I'm reflecting on the idea of maybe basically finding some positive among the negative, I think of my son, because he has told me numerous times, kind of complained at me about how I'm always so positive. So he'll be telling me something about how awful everything is, or when we see something terrible happening, I often will point out something positive, or looking at the bright side of things, or identifying what is going to be learned from the situation so that it's effective in some way. And so that is one thing I don't mind him complaining about me, that I'm too positive. I don't mind that. That's an okay reputation. So one of the cool things about this area in general is definitely all the history. Our country as a whole is quite young, and we don't have a lot of history to it. So spending time in the older areas where there's been more that has happened, it's cool to see really the building of our country and the infrastructure. So we spent some time in Boston a couple years ago, and that again was filled with history, and we've talked about how we want to go back. We found a campground there. Anybody that I told, they were like, what, there was a campground that close to the city? I found one, and it was kind of rough getting in there, very rugged, and they had no facilities or anything there. We loved it though, and so we got the best of both worlds, because we got to do the camping and outdoor thing, but we were also able to be fully immersed and engaged in that history while we were there. And so spending the time walking everywhere was so fun. Same thing here. We spent the day yesterday in DC. We took Caleb for the first time, and Caden had a task he was there for Scouts at the American History Museum. So we got to visit that museum and the Hirshhorn, and then we walked, and as we were walking we talked about how this is a hike, it's just a city hike, but just being among all the people, and there's people from everywhere there. Some are people living there, some are just the tourists, everyone coming to see everything there. But just seeing everybody there and walking to see all the monuments and memorials was cool. And it rings true of that same idea of, because those people believe that if something was worth doing, it was worth doing well, and they invested so much and devoted so much for this country. And that's why there have been the successes there have been. Yeah, there's a lot of failures, as there's going to be with anything, because people are people and nothing gets all right. But among that, there's plenty of success and growth and development in good ways. And so thinking about the impact that each of those people, like as we walked up the Lincoln Memorial, thinking about the impact that Lincoln had on this country and on the individual lives of the people in our country is really cool. So same went for each thing that we saw. All of the exhibits in the American History Museum showed a lot about the development and progress that has been made. Caden's focus was on the invention component, an exhibit in that museum, and the ways that people come about ideas is really cool. So, gotta admire flowers when we find them. Those are really pretty. But I admire all the people that have their ideas to solve problems because of disabilities or injuries that have resulted, or lack, whatever it is that prompts people to invent and develop or create change in the world is really cool. There's a lot of woodpecker action out on this trail. So many birds out singing today. Now they just got quiet. They heard me talking about them. That's the Potomac over there. So this trail is nice because it's graveled, so it's flat. Obviously needed to be to pull along. It's a towpath to pull along through the canal. So it's easy walking. Not a lot to worry about stumbling over, and not much incline to speak of. There are, however, some bugs out. Nothing that seems to be biting, but definitely some bugs. It's definitely a very peaceful day to be out on this trail. It's fun to see all the butterflies flittering around, coming across the turtles on the log and watching them throw themselves into the water as quickly as they can. Seeing all the varieties of flowers and birds. It's really nice out here today. The sun keeps peeking out, and then we have some cloud cover with a little bit of breeze, so it's a nice spring day out here. We are opting for the up and over option on the way back, rather than going back through the tunnel just to have a different view. So, let's see. It's definitely a little steep, but very clear path. This definitely has a lot of incline. So, we've been climbing. Looks like we're about at the top now. Some dark clouds are coming in. There's a good view of the Potomac that I was expecting. So we are on the downhill section now. Still have some gnats flying around. But it's been a beautiful hike. We have just a little ways back to our car at the parking area. So we'll enjoy the rest of the casual downhill here, it seems. And I'll see you next time on the trail with Heart.